You jibber jab, bamboozle, nooka noozle, bippity bop, she called. You jibber jab, bamboozle, nooka noozle, bippity bop, she called. I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn it off.
Welcome to the weekend. I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute. You're watching Independent Thinking. Lots of politics happening for 2010 already here in Colorado. To give us a landscape from, not the Rocky, but the Denver Post, Lynn Bartels. How are you enjoying the new job?
It's great.
Because it pays.
It pays and has health insurance, and they're good to me. Three good things.
They're good to you? They don't know you yet.
Yeah, it'll come.
Also from the Denver Post, Tim Hoover, you've been following politics there for a while, including Miss Norton's new announcement.
That's right.
How long have you been with the Post?
Nearly 2 years, but I've been covering...
Newbies. You're all newbies.
We are.
Well, I don't really count as a newbie.
You don't count as a newbie, but let's face it. Where are the John Sankos? You know, where are the old guys who've been around for a while? Damn young ones. I don't like them.
Whippersnappers.
Whippersnappers. You enjoying it?
I am. Healthcare still, and 2 out of those 3, I think. So.
Healthcare and
Yes.
a paycheck. All right.
Plus, he understands the budget. You would have wished he was here when Ref C was going on.
I wish he was. All right, let's bring it to let's talk about the Democratic side. It's amazing that the 2010 fight is really shaping up right now. Who's in, who's out? It's still quite an open field. On the Democratic side, were you surprised that former Speaker of the House Romanoff decided to challenge the incumbent? And the incumbent really never ran, but he was put in there by the governor, of course, Michael Bennet. Is Romanoff's decision a surprise? What was the backstory?
I was blown away. I kept saying he's not going to have the what's to do it. And plus, he waited so long. You would have thought if he was going to do it, he was going to do it right away. Some of his really good friends have already committed to Bennet and have told him, I can't break the commitment. I already told him I would. But yeah, I was stunned. And just think if you're Michael Bennet, it's the 1st of August, things are looking good.
You're collecting gobs of money. What does he have so far?
You're collecting gobs of money. I don't know, 200 and some, I don't know. 2 million something?
Yeah, it's in the
Like
millions.
that. But you've got a good bank account that scared away people, it seemed like. You had no Democratic opponent, and the Republican side seemed a little scattered, a little weak, although Ken Buck had done really good in fundraising. And then all of a sudden, by the end of August, you're like, holy, I've got a primary opponent, and now Jane Norton's in the race, and she can raise tons of money in Washington. And all of a sudden, it's a huge dogfight.
Why did Romanoff decide to do this? Now, Romanoff is a savvy politician, and while I disrespect his points of view, you got to respect his abilities to get things done. Why did he make this decision?
You have to wonder if a lot of people who are really dissatisfied with some of what's going on in Colorado Democratic politics help talk him into it. There's the crowd that's very peeved at Ritter.
Over what?
Over some of his union vetoes, his vetoes of union-friendly bills.
But that was just one. I mean, it seems like...
No, it wasn't.
No,
it was 2.
What was the other one?
Firefighters and grocery stores.
Right, okay.
Not to mention some of the things in the past that dealt with unions that they're not completely thrilled about. They feel that he hasn't lived up to his promises. Ritter, correct. And, and I think Romanoff probably senses that Bennet has some weaknesses and that he might be able to exploit them.
But the bizarre thing is that Andrew also called people and said, I'm thinking of running for governor. Will you back me? Like one person was blown away to read in the Post he was running for, and he goes, you guys got it all wrong. He's not running for the Senate. He's running for governor because he had called this lawmaker and said, I'm going to run for governor. Will you back me?
Explain the backroom deals that your paper talked about between Ritter and Romanoff. It seemed as though there might have been a nice deal to keep Romanoff in the political game by making him the lieutenant governor candidate in 2010. What happened?
The Post reported that he had been offered that, and then they said, oh, Barbara O'Brien wants to stay as lieutenant governor, so the deal's off the table. That's what one version of it is. But when I read that story, I was like, what the heck? Because I ran into Andrew at the Capitol, and it was like March or April. Of course, we talked about what happened, why didn't he pick me? And I still can't believe it. And I said, well, what if I heard Barbara O'Brien's interested in some higher ed jobs or education jobs?
Right.
If she left, would you be interested in state government? And he said, I want to set policy. I want to go to the U.S. Senate. So, I mean, at the time he was so like lieutenant governor that I don't know where he picked up the The thing that I always say is, let's go back in time. Obama doesn't pick Salazar. Ritter doesn't pick Bennett. But Andrew Romanoff is still term limited. What was he going to do anyhow? Was he going to tell Ritter, I need a job in politics, give it to me?
And here's a guy who's a political junkie. I mean, Romanoff is, well, he's like me, except on the wrong side, has no wife, has no kids. He gets to spend
except
all
he's
the time.
smart.
And smart.
Yeah,
and
now let's
has
talk
hair,
about that.
And actually has been successful.
And
All
he's
right.
funny.
And he's funny. All
Okay.
right. Other than that, but here's a guy who spends all of his time on politics, which has made him a very successful politician. When he was term limited in the House, he didn't run for a Senate seat. I forget who was in that Senate seat for the House Senate. He decided not to run for governor several years ago, which I imagine he's kicking himself for now. Why Senate? Why not governor, where he is better known, where he knows the players better? It seems like if he's angry at the governor for not choosing him either for being a senator or for being lieutenant governor, the best way to get back at the gov is to become the gov.
It's a good point. You wonder which will pan out to be the better choice. I think he probably gambled and decided that Bennett doesn't have the sort of name recognition that he does, although Bennett certainly seems to be capable of raising money and is spreading his name quickly. And maybe he thinks that whatever dissatisfaction there may be with Ritter as governor, it would be difficult for him to knock Ritter off his perch. I mean, the polling with Ritter still shows that people personally like him.
Everybody likes him.
And that even if you're doing an unpopular job as governor, that still goes a long way.
We like our governors. We haven't knocked out a governor in, 50-some years. We like our governors. They get press all the time, and even those people who dislike his policies, myself included, we all admit, Bill Ritter's a nice guy. I'd let him babysit my kids. He's a good guy. I wouldn't let him be governor, but...
Well, you did.
I didn't. I tried.
To sabotage Bob O'Prey, but that's another story. By helping him.
All right, let's bring it over to Bennett, though. Yeah, you're right. Here's a guy who's got millions in the bank, and all of a sudden, here comes a latecomer with a lot of name ID in political circles, but does Colorado know Romanoff? I mean, we're junkies. We know Romanoff, and especially since we cover House politics. But does the guy in Lyman know Romanoff?
Well, that might matter when it comes to the general, but when it comes to the primary, the answer is yes. I mean, the Democrats, the people who are going to turn out, know both these people. I mean, they may not know Bennett, but then they feel like they know him. I don't know him, so I'm going to go for Andrew. I was on the road with Michael Bennett for 3 days last week before it all runs together.
Is that something you want to tell us about?
No, it was a healthcare rally. It wasn't a campaign
Oh, it wasn't
thing.
personal.
Please. So anyhow, let me back up here. They go to the Benton County, speaking of personal, go to the Benton County Democratic picnic, and the chairman says, I don't know, I think Andrew's opening a can of worms that he's going to regret because of the division in the party.
Right.
But the clerk and recorder says, everybody here loves Andrew. He's been here and we know him. And that's what you hear about Romanoff. Been here, know him. I'm thinking, he took Ref C, he worked around the clock to get that thing passed.
And he was everywhere. I debated him around the state. He was everywhere. He wears the rubber off his shoes. All right, Republicans are loving this. All right, Republicans are looking at this going, this is exactly what we want. I'm not so certain. Let me take a contrary approach to this. One, I'm concerned about cap and trade and Obamacare. And now that Romanoff is in the race, Michael Bennett has to look like more of a liberal. And I think Romanoff's going to pull him more to be a good Democrat, which means it's going to be harder to put pressure on him for the issues that I care about, including voting no against Obamacare and cap and trade and card check. So while Republicans are all excited to see this division, I'm not so certain it's going to be all that great for Republicans in the near future. I'd also think that Romanoff has a wonderful chance of beating Michael Bennett in this primary.